Welcome to another episode of Know Thyself. Knowledge sets you free. The true knowledge from the very throne room of God. We have with us Father Michael Karimattam, who is a scripture scholar and teaching at the Mary Mata Seminary. And also with us, we have Sister Glorista, who's a trained counselor from the United States, now helping a number of them to be effective counselors. So welcome, Father.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Sister. So talking about Know Thyself, we've been discussing about the character of St. John in the last two episodes. And these insights are so powerful and also quite intriguing. Today, as we continue to talk about this character, let's get more insights on what this person was and how is he presented and how Jesus was the counselor in his life as well. So Father, talking about the beloved disciple, that's quite an interesting question. Is St. John actually the beloved disciple? Because when he writes as a third person and he speaks about the beloved disciple. How do we account this?
Yeah, it is a very tricky question. And two answers have been given to this. One, the majority opinion of tradition, this beloved disciple is none but John, the son of Zebedee, brother of James. And another opinion, not that prevalent, but suggests that this should be some other person. Because he is a person who is known to the high priest, a person who can go into the high priest's house without any permission, and he introduces Peter to the gatekeeper and brings him there. And so we don't know who exactly this person is. And very difficult also to say. We don't know exactly how. There have been various hypotheses. For example, John was a businessman. It could be that he was somehow engaged in the fish export business. They were the fishermen and they were bringing fish to the holy city, fish to Jerusalem, and in a way this contact. It's all hypothesis. We have no way of definitely saying this is John, the son of Zebedee.
Also, the other thing is about he being the youngest disciple.
Yeah, that also is said, and there is a lot of tradition that he had no beard, so he is considered, and there are the Da Vinci's or things. No, we do not know. They say he is the youngest because he is younger brother, younger than James, and it seems he was the last one to die. So, so if we take the book of Apocalypse written by him, so the author that we'll come to later, but the author identifies himself as John, your brother. So the question is John the evangelist, or is John another person? John the I don't know. We don't know who this John is. But as a whole, the prevalent tradition of the fathers of the church is this: John is the person, the son of Zebedee, the son of Salome, the sister of Mary, the mother of Jesus. So the John, James are relatives, close relatives, maybe first or second cousins of Jesus, and they have this freedom. They come and ask. That is all possible. But more than that, we do not know. And that is also not that important. It's a person who knows through and through. A person who has lived with Jesus from the beginning to the end. A person, the first person to come to Jesus at the beginning of this public ministry, and the last person to quit. He was at the foot of the cross. Right. And two episodes come to my mind now. It's the last two episodes. One is at the Last Supper. We have already read it. At the Last Supper, Jesus tells, one of you will betray me. And then Peter is asking, John, ask who is this? Here, I read once again the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 21 following. After saying this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and declared, very truly I tell you, one of you will betray me. The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he was speaking. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So one thing interesting, Simon Peter is making a gesture, so he's not in the near. So when you see the seating arrangement, it's on that reclining a table, and this John is right at the left hand of Jesus. So somehow reclining on. Peter is not nearby, so he had to show me who he is. That's one thing. And then he's reclining, leaning back on the chest of Jesus. While reclining next to Jesus, he asked him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is the one to whom I give this piece of bread. So that's one thing he's very close to. And this could be, the Gospel of John is full of symbolisms. And each event, each word has much more meaning than what appears in the appearance here. So now, when we say close to Jesus, it is close to his heart. So this is not a physical closeness, I would say. So he's a person who has understood the heart beating of Jesus, who came close to him. And he felt, and later on we'll see how he feels about Judas and all these things, a person who becomes furious about. So John is a person, so this person whom Jesus loved is a close friend. And this becomes a symbol of all the disciples. So should be a disciple. A disciple should be close to his heart. And before I give to sister, one more thing I want to point out. That is in chapter 19 at the foot of the cross. So the one who was reclining with Jesus and leaning on his chest, now stands at the foot of the cross. When everybody had abandoned him. One betrayed him, the other denied him, and all went away. But in the Gospel of John tells there was a person standing at the foot of the only male character mentioned, except for the centurion who finally confesses this is Son of God. Among all the disciples, male disciples, only one person is mentioned. Only other few women are there. So this is also very interesting to go into the female characters. Maybe we'll come to later. So here, this is a person who stands at the foot of the cross. And he stands by the mother of Jesus. So I think this relationship is also possible, that he is a nephew of Mary and Jesus is his cousin, whatever. More than that, it's a person who stands at the foot of the cross. The person whom Jesus loved, and also the other way around, who loved Jesus. And now seeing this, chapter 19, 26 and 27 from John, I read. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, Woman, here is your son. Then he said to the disciple, Here is your mother. And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home. A very dense, deep insight is given into the character of John, Mary, Jesus, and the relationship. So here, first it is said, standing at the foot of the cross near Mary, the mother of Jesus. So these two, as if the son is standing. So this is the disciple whom Jesus loved. So, and then he's given to Mary as her son. And to John, they said, your mother. So a new family is starting. And the family starts in this relationship of love, dedication. So these two aspects, I think sister has much more to say about this. One is the heart-to-heart relationship, then standing at the foot of the cross, a love that brings in. Here, you don't find a zealot here. He's not somehow ambitious for a position. No power-greedy person. A person who stands firm and he cannot be separated because he loves. And I think this will lead to the next stage.
Psychologically, love, I think, is the most powerful emotion. We see more violence being done because of hatred. Because nowadays we see a lot of people being burned or killed, or because they loved and they could not get that person. Then they become so hateful that they kill the person. But love has some kind of a power in the sense, if I love somebody, what I would look for is what is best for that person. And when we looked into the martyrs, they loved Jesus and they were willing to die. And Stephen, the first martyr, we see, he was stoned, and the physical pain is not what is being seen on his face. He looked at the heaven and he saw the heaven open and the Son of Man standing. And there he was drawn to that love, to the heart. And so love has this force in that sense to desire what is best for the other person. And I think this is no other emotion has that power.
I think that is what you call the agape.
Agape.
Agape, love as God loves.
God.
Love your enemy. So,
And when you love that much, no suffering becomes difficult for you.
Right.
Jesus has said, you are torn and tired, come to me, I'll give you rest.
Yes.
The rest comes because when we love, no matter what we do, nothing is too much. No, how much you suffer is not too much. You get energy from that love. It's I think in the ministry, usually we get more energy to do things because when there is a sense of love. And then I can say that, okay, we don't count the hours, you don't count the minutes or the amount of difficulties you suffer to go through.
I think we are, by default, you can't use the word default, but by naturally, I think we are hardwired for empathy, which sometimes we lose. We tend to lose that focus. I think Jesus was always bringing back that, through compassion and through the caring that he had. Even while we teach, like I teach a bit of emotional intelligence. So when we do that, a lot of about empathy that we talk about. We say it's not the survival of the fittest anymore. It's more of, empathizing. Understanding. Yeah. I think without this love that you're explaining, we can't empathize.
We cannot do that. Jesus has said that there is nothing more important than giving up your life for your friend. And who would be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
And it's mother would give up the child, her life for the child, or the father would. But it is nobody. For a friend, for somebody else to give up my life, that shows the power of love. And it was driven, and I think John was driven by this love.
I think one more, I was triggered, so you said empathy, that is how you usually use it. But I think you have a misunderstanding. The sympathy is somehow not taken for granted. So sympathy is something not that good, you say. But the Greek word, sympathein, to suffer with. Exactly sympathy, you suffer with the person. So sympathy, that's somehow by
And
using you will also sense
I think the English sense.
Psychologically, sympathy means you feel sorry for somebody else.
Yes.
That is kind of coming. And that is why they came with the word empathy.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is the misunderstanding of the word.
But how do you interpret empathy in the Greek terms, if at all there is a root word?
I don't know, in pathein, it's not much different. Sin is together with. In the suffering.
Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of the other person's
So you
shoes.
suffer with the person. That is sympathy. So this is a kind of it's not only
I
pity
think
for
probably empathy is an enhanced version of sympathy.
Yeah, that's what you would say. Okay.
And I think now it has come into more understanding of the compassion.
Yeah.
Right.
The same thing, compatire. So there is a Latin. So one is sympathein is Greek. Sympathein. Kumpati. That is Latin. Suffer with the same thing.
So
Anukampa, anutapam. So this is the same thing in English. So together with. So that's
See,
what they had with the
when you
sympathy.
have compassion, you want to do everything to relieve that person's pain. And that is what really is driving the force in the sense. And Jesus had a compassion for the crowd.
Right.
And he wanted to relieve the pain of. Jesus had a compassion for the widow whose only son had died.
Maybe I would do one more thing. So you have got for the Greek, splanknitsein, you call it. Splanknitsein. Splankna means the internal organs, the bowels. So when you see somebody, so some atrocity, for example, the Samaritan sees the man here bleeding to death on the, so he has a kind of pull from the inside.
Yeah.
That is what this sympathy means. So compassion. So, and in Hebrew it is called rahamim. Rahamim is rechem is the womb, and the rahamim is the feeling the mother has towards an unborn child in the womb.
Wow.
So rahamim, splanknitsein, sympathy, and empathy or compulsion. All this comes to this. So it's not not an intellectual thing. It is something takes hold of your whole being. You are taking. See, for example, when your child is suffering, you cannot just stay idle. It somehow involves your whole person. That is what Jesus is telling.
Yeah, it's even the body is involved in that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
I think even if you refer to the prayer of the Holy Spirit, the book of Romans chapter 8, which speaks about groans.
Yeah, the groans. Yeah, right. Okay.
And I often think about how Mary Magdalene and John standing at the foot of the cross heard the nail being banged into the Jesus' way. How much pain they must have suffered. Because these people really loved Jesus.
True.
And I think we would feel that when a person I love is suffering, I rather suffer than the person I love.
True. Very true.
And wanting to take off that pain. And this is really important. And I think that is what really transformed John in that sense.
Maybe in that case, I could add one more thing. We have a tendency to think that God the Father was so cruel, so demanding, that he wanted to see the death of his son, unless he sheds the blood. But we forget that this is the Father allowing his son to die. And the son is crying, my God, why have you forsaken me? And the Father has tied his hands. He doesn't come down. So the pain the Father might have felt. So when you speak about mother, and God the Father loved the world, me and you, so much that he allowed his only son to die on the cross. So there you see the suffering, and maybe this is how John experienced in the foot of the cross.
And it's John who writes again, God so loved the world that he gave his...
There is it's artistic, but at the same time, God the Father is standing with his hands extended, and the nail is put into the Jesus, then into the hands of the Father. And so it's a suffering with, totally suffering with understand. And this mother, the baby I know, so lovingly brought up, is being crucified. So painful and dying there. And this is heartbreaking. They say it is a story, but at the same time, Joseph did not have the power to take it, would not have suffered the crucifixion. And that's why God mercifully took him earlier. And we have a statue there. Jesus is holding, Joseph is holding Jesus. His head is down. And the expression on the face, I have everything what I want. Nothing else I want.
Jesus.
Because I have him. And this is what it was there with this much love, this disciple standing at the foot of the cross, seeing his Lord suffering and dying, and yet believing that this is my God.
Beautiful.
And that is really one way of physical suffering, another way of faith element in that.
So
this helpless person is my Lord.
Looking at spiritual counseling, okay, as a gift. Now there are counselors who come, like say John earlier, before transformation. I need that position, I need that power, I need to be set free, I need all this. But then over a period of time, you see John, who's ready at the foot of the cross as well. Yeah. So how would you explain this transformation in a counselee as such?
Okay, in a counselee, the change comes from within.
Okay.
Okay, not from outside.
Okay.
And I know the transformation that is taking place in me itself. There was a time I would just stay in the back and would not even come forward or saying. And when I went into the program, in the sense, I'm working at the Newman Center. I did not say what it is. But one of my colleagues once went into the parish and picked up the bulletin, and the priest there, he had written, Associate Pastor, Sister Glorista. He came back and he said, who are you in the Newman Center? I did not take much of it there. He said, and then my supervisor, do you know how many sisters would love to get that position? The position didn't mean much to me.
Right.
For me, it was giving my life to the center there, to the students, to the all those. That was most important for me.
Beautiful.
And then I did not mean to acknowledge it as in a position or anything like that. And I said, oh, Father put it. And yeah, Father just gave you that title. And this was something of me personally in the sense. But what gave me meaning was that I could serve the students. I could make myself available to them anytime when they come, whether I'm tired or not. Okay, I was there for the students. I was there for the parishioners. I was there for the children. This is what made life meaningful for me.
Right.
Not that. So it's a change that has to happen inside me.
Yeah.
And though, but if I was looking for a position or things like that, and I don't think that would have really given me the sense of satisfaction the way I did.
Right.
And you see, it's the way we view things makes the difference.
Perceptions, yes.
Okay. Yeah. And even when we were working in the Bible Apostle, people ask, why do you work so hard? Why do you spend the days or evenings there? That didn't occur to me. I was doing it for somebody else or something. For me, it was there, the children will come to know the Bible, the children will learn about the Bible. That is what was more important. How much time I spent in it, or how much time was it, Sundays or Saturdays, it didn't matter. Whatever had to be done there. So this gives me, that gave me energy.
So in fact, there was a time when we were working, when we were doing 5 translations simultaneously, Bible comics. Just going Malayalam, English, then we have Telugu, Mizo, and Hindi. So all simultaneously going, and she was doing the whole work. And so it was maybe 15, 16, 18 hours a day. And every day, why? Because this has to go.
Right.
We didn't have much money to pay for others, so we had to work. But that gives a satisfaction. You are doing something, not because somebody you asked to, but because you love it. And this is, I think, what the personal encounter with Jesus.
Super. We also have this aspect. Let's look at the counselor's aspect. Now he's got to sit and wait for the transformation to happen. Like you see Jesus, there's a parable he speaks about when the gardener wants to cut off the particular tree, but he says, no, give us some more time. Let's see. Let's wait for it. So talking about the patience aspect or the endurance with that counseling, how do you look at it?
See, it comes through experience.
Okay.
Standing at the cross, seeing my Lord enduring that pain transforms. We cannot remain the same anymore.
Right.
Like a father who has lost a child will not be the same anymore.
Yeah, true.
And that is it is like experiential change. Experiential change happens from within. And when that, nobody can change it. You see, any person, the woman at the well, so many people might have told her that, okay, what you are doing is okay, when this or that and everything else. But once she experienced that Jesus accepted her and loved her, then nothing was going to change her. Here she was hiding from others all the time. There she goes into the crowd of the people and says, come and see the man who told me everything that I have done. And see, she had become so self-assured.
Beautiful.
I don't care what others think about me anymore. All I wanted is that everybody come and meet this man because he is more important than me.
And that is what John went through the whole life. This experience, especially the Last Supper and at the foot of the cross. It took him maybe half a century to delve into the depth of that experience, what this love means. And then when he writes, you see the depth. It's not like synoptics. Synoptics are very, very plain things. But each word John chooses and the Spirit helps him. And there is a love that comes through all through. And that's what made him, standing at the foot of the cross, especially seeing him how he dies and how he goes through. So that should be something, an experience I cannot explain in a day, in a year, and goes on. And that's how made him what John is, I think.
So he relives those experiences over and over again. It's so
Deep.
fomented that when you read the Gospel of John, you feel that thoroughly in that.
Yeah.
So yes, as the word of God itself says, unless a grain of wheat falls down and dies, it cannot bear fruit. We are all looking forward for that experience. So let's go that journey with Christ and understand that we have been reborn into his identity. If you have any questions, you can write to us on knowthyselfdtv@gmail.com. Until we meet you in another episode, God bless you. Thank you, Father. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.